Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending upon the time zone that you're in. This is Author to Author on my website, jasveersinghdangi.com. I am your host, Jasveer, and I have a very interesting personality with me. He's Mark Antony Raines. Mark is an author, he's a cartoonist, he's a blogger, he's a YouTuber, and he's also a podcaster. So he's a great guy. Welcome, Mark.
Oh, well, thank you for letting me on your show. Very nice of you.
Thank you so much, Mark, for taking time out to be with us. Mark, tell our listeners something about yourself.
Well, obviously, as you mentioned before, I'm a blogger and an author. And my first book, believe it or not, was a collaboration with an occult artist called authoruk. And he wrote the occult side, and I wrote the martial arts side and did the illustrations. And it's called Cartoon Occult Martial Arts, which is the most bizarre book you've probably ever come across. But that was my first book. So that was my delve into writing. And obviously, as you mentioned, I'm a cartoonist with my friend who's a cryptozoologist, which I'm into as well. But he runs a magazine, long-line magazine called Gonzo Weekly. And he allows me to do the cartoon on the last bit, which is great because it publishes your work. Mm-hmm. And also I sing a bit, well, badly, my wife tells me. I try to do a bit of comedy now and again. I like reading books and narrating books. I'm a bit of a horror host. I like horror. I like the classical horror as well as modern horror. But I could do the classical for one reason only. It's normally public domain, it's free, and the author's not going to come knocking on my door going, "Oi, I want your book. You can't do my book. I want you out. Go on, out." So, so that's one of the reasons. And also, I've had a near-death experience.
Oh, okay. Please share. How did it happen?
Well, what happened is, some years ago, I was living in a place called Merton in Devon, which is in England. And I was feeling very unwell. So my wife phoned the doctor, and he said it was an ear infection, and she said, no, it's not. And I got gradually worse and worse and worse. I was very thirsty, very dizzy. So he came out, and he smelled an anatone smell on my breath. So the ambulance came, and they couldn't at first get a blood sugar reading, but when they did get one, it was 124. So I was rushed from Merton to Barnstable Hospital, which is in North Devon, England. And from there I was rushed from the ED straight to ICU. I was put in a 3-week coma, induced coma. My wife at the time was told I was going to die, and she was very adamant that I wasn't going to. And whilst I was in my coma, I heard a woman's voice I've not heard before or since, telling me to wake up. I had the most overwhelming feeling I've ever had to wake up. Now, I believe this woman was my guardian angel. I know there's lots of theories out there about it's your brain playing tricks, it's the drugs, it's the medication. But that's my belief, and I'm sticking to it. And the reason why I call myself Ghostman, because a lot of people always ask this, is because I was either in the real world or the next world whilst I was in my coma. So therefore, Ghostman. So I thought it was a very original way of keeping that experience, as well as much as I went for it, is a way of enhancing it and embracing it.
Must be a life-altering experience.
It is very life-altering. It made me very more religious, very more aware of mortality. And you do, I think most people would back this up when they've been through whatever near-death experience you've been through. It feels like you've touched something, whether it's heaven or not, I can't tell you because I haven't generally gone knocking on the door yet, and I don't really want to go there yet because that's as they call it, Star Trek, the final frontier. That is the actual final frontier. But I do believe you touch something. You feel something. I can't explain what it really is because it's like you know there's something there now, but you can't put your hand on it.
Absolutely. You touch something, you feel something, your brain interprets it, and it becomes a memory, right? So people may call it was because of medicines, it was because of this, because of that. But the fact is, you've had an out of body experience, and your brain sort of believes in it. They say brain is a powerful projector, the most powerful projector. Whatever you want to see, the brain actually creates that thing in front of you. So it could be ghost, it could be angels, it could be God, it could be devil, anything that you want to believe in. Your brain does that to you, does that to your body. And I think whatever people might say, it's a life-altering experience. It's an amazing experience that you've had. Tragic as it might be, it was life-threatening, obviously, but I think it has changed your life for better.
Yes, it inspired me in lots of ways because I started podcasting in 2017 because at the time I wasn't interested in video, although I do more videos now because I've got more confidence. I wanted to think, oh, well, how can I do it? And I thought, I'll get into podcasting, and I didn't want to do it the hard way. Get all the proper, all dancing, all singing equipment. Nothing wrong with that. That's okay. That's not my style. It's too technical for me. So every podcast I've ever done, and I can back it up, is via a smartphone or an Amazon Fire tablet. That is it. That's as technical as I ever get. I mean, I know some people say, oh, the quality's not there. But hey, you don't have to listen to me. I don't mind. Like you say, nobody has to literally listen to me if they don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't make them. I don't grab and go, really, you want to listen to my podcast? I want to have it now. Listen to it.
Yeah. You do it because you want to do it, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm quite prolific. I've done over, I don't know, there must be 3,000 plus podcasts now.
Okay.
I'm a bit obsessive with it, but I like doing it. It's my thing. It helps me. Because also I
had the same experience. I started my writing career with a lot of naysayers. My manuscript for version 1.5 was firstly rejected by 3 publishers, saying, why would anybody want to read about the memories of a common Indian man? They would want to read life of somebody famous. So that kind of demotivated me. But then I told them, I'm writing because I want to write. Whether people read it or not, I'm really not sure. How is the response going to be? I'm not sure. But I'm writing because I want to write. And that's how, I started my journey.
You got to do. My opinion like this, you give something a go.
Yeah.
It doesn't work out, fine. At least look back and done it years later, say, yeah, I had a go at that. And people go, did you? I said, yeah, I've got a book. Really? I've done podcasts. Really? And people are surprised at how many books I've got. I mean, I've got I got mostly horror, which is touch of comedy in them, because I always find, I shouldn't say this, but if you're upset with somebody or a situation, that's the best time to write a horror story, because you can put them in the horror story, obviously not the name, but you can emphasize and think, what can I do to that person? Can I murder them? Or can I make them insane? Or can I... can you make them insane? Or... Yeah. And that's why I like horror. I mean, I know we've got the horror of the real situation now in the pandemic, but we need escapism. Escapism is the one thing that they do that is easy. You don't need any television. You don't need anything else. The brain is the most active thing you can imagination for anything in your life. Love, sex, marriage. It's all here. It's all, if you have the right attitudes, the right means to cope with things, because things are always going to be not easy in life. Because I have a condition called small vessel disease of the brain, which affects my cognitive skills like memory and speech. And sometimes I say things that are not the wrong sentence, or I spell the wrong things. And sometimes I have very severe movements like fits, like epileptic fits. But I did get frustrated with it at first, but now I just have the attitude of, get on with it. Have a bad day, you have a bad day.
There is so much sorrow, or sorry rather, you can feel for yourself, but how long would you do that? Life always finds a way to move ahead, and you have to move ahead with it, accepting the facts. And I think you've done it wonderfully well. And you're doing so many things, so many creative things. Do you think sort of creativity or doing creative things, gets your mind sort of in the sharper sense? Does that work? Do you think creativity is good for your brain?
Yes, because I think the more you become a bit zombified if you watch telly, you know what I mean? You sort of like watch it and you become a little bit brain dead for a minute. There's nothing wrong with that, because we all need that as well. You do need that as well. But I think if you watch the news too much at the moment, because it's constantly bad news or some form of aggression or something that builds up, it slowly gets in here. And if you don't release something or find a way to release it, you will get ill. I mean, I predicted there was going to be a mental health problem way back when the pandemic started. I kept on and on about it to people, and nobody was listening. They said, it won't happen, nobody was silly. And I think to myself, well, I've been proven right.
Absolutely.
Because, as humans, we need contact, because we are a social being. And imagine a world without Zoom or Skype or Facebook or Twitter. What would we do then?
True.
Insanity would rule.
And I think half the problem during COVID has been the mental issues, the mental health issues. And, you're talking about England, UK. We have this problem in India because it's a taboo issue, talking about mental issues in India. People are not that open. People are not very comfortable coming on camera, coming on screen, or let's say talking to their even family members about mental health issues. So that's a huge issue. And something good about Canada is that people can talk about mental health issues openly. That's something I liked about the Canadian culture and the Canadian healthcare systems. But in India, and I'm surprised you're talking about UK, they have similar issues there as well.
Well, yeah, I think it's all around the world. It's the old British stiff upper lip. We're not allowed to speak about things, as if you've got to get on and deal with it. But I believe if you don't talk about something, you can't deal with it. I mean, I've had instances. I've been depressed. I have OCD. I've had suicidal thoughts. I've even tried to commit suicide twice in my past. I've even committed criminal damage in my past. I mean, it's not something to be proud of, but at the time, that was me. But I'm not that person anymore. I'm a great believer of you shouldn't live in the past. You should always move forward. You can't. If you had a Doctor Who TARDIS, would you actually go back and change it? Because would it make you a completely different person? Because the only way you learn is by mistakes.
True. I think that's so meaningful that you're saying, you can't live in your past, and you should not be judged on the basis of your past. You should be judged on the basis of what you are present, what you're doing now. And I think you've turned around your life remarkably well. Mark, let's quickly talk about writing. What does it mean to you? Why do you write?
I write because I think it's an expression of putting myself in it. I think every author that's ever wrote a book, no matter what gender or what, even if it's non-fiction, you do put yourself a little bit in that position, or yourself into it, without realising it. Because you look back and think, oh my God, I put myself in that situation, without realising it. It's nothing wrong with that. All authors do that. Because that's how you can write. I mean, I may not be the greatest speller in the world or the greatest grammar in the world, I admit that. But my expression is get the story out there. And if someone out there just reads it and they think, oh, I like that. I mean, that's why I wrote my own autobiography, which I called The Diary of an Essex Weirdo. Because I thought, I've got to get my story out there. It's only little bits to my story. I've left the bits out because I didn't want to put no names in there or situations in there that might upset people. Because I'm not one of those people. I think, I'm not going to deliberately go for the jugular like some people do. And I think I sent you a copy.
Yeah, you did that.
And why I wrote it, I felt, well, because of my small vessel disease and memory problems, I thought if I don't get it out there now, I might forget some of my own past. And this is the way of me looking back and going, oh, did I do that? And I know people think, oh, it's going to be boring. And I actually put in the book little references to do, like, oh, I'm sorry if I'm boring you. If I get you too boring, don't read this book. Don't buy it. Give me a bad review and put it in the bin. Or something like that. I actually put it out in the book so people can. I put my sense of humour in there as well, so that people know. What you got to do, like your book, like you said earlier about your time in India. It's similar to that kind of way of writing.
So,
can I give you a sample of a little bit from my book?
Yeah.
Very small sample. This is in the book from the book. I like to play my milk float when little in the back garden. When I attended school at Our Lady Lourdes, Manchester Drive, I was quite shy. Just then, when asked to play the role Mark Antony for class play, I refused to kiss the girl and run out of the school. I remember all the girls wearing white plimsolls and Mark Bolan, T-Rex and black ink. At the time, I ate a Rice Krispie cake for pudding. As I bit into it, it chipped my tooth. Now I come to an event that affected my life more than I thought about. That was the time I had time to reflect on it. Along with a girl whose name I do not remember, according to the headmistress' office, to be informed, we'd been kept back a year for reasons I also forgot. Anyway, to cut the chase, it meant that I was always playing catch-up. My granddad worked as a caretaker in my primary school. We would visit our grandparents on a semi-regular basis. And one trip on the way home, turned to wave goodbye, then walked headfirst into the headline post. My head had a tennis ball like a lump, which really hurt. Later in life, the hardest things I had to do was attend my dad's and years later my mum's funeral. My dad's funeral brings back a few bad memories, as this is when I had a major fallout with my older sister, who walked out of the car before the journey to Southend-on-Sea Crematorium, shadowed me in the funeral car, and made to carry my carrier bag in the service and wake. I felt like shit. If my nose hadn't been there, I would have left. My mother's funeral, I was determined to say some words about how much I missed her as I bottled out my dad's. Things I did not like with my sister's boyfriend keeping on about me not going too far due to my illness, and it's constant going on about gold radio. So that's the sort of thing I add in. I put a lot of me in that book. There's a lot of me.
When exactly did you start writing, Mark? Was it, were you writing before that life-changing experience, or you started writing only after that?
Someone like writing. I used to like writing poetry, things like that. And as I said, my first book was with a collaboration with a cult artist called S. Rob. And it's a very weird combination of a book. It's not your average go-lucky book, but it's probably from that weird book I learned to write, how to learn to write, and how to, because I also did illustrations for it. And then he wrote the cartoon, the occult bit. I wrote about the martial art bits because I did do karate for a little while. I got up to green second belts, that's not bad. And I wrote the martial art bits, and it's called Cartoon Occult Martial Arts. And it, as I say, it's bizarre, as the title says it is. It's hickety-pickly, because it was my first attempt at writing. But I was very honoured that he let me do that. It was very kind of him. He didn't have to do it. he was the one that gave me the chance to do it. Basically because I help him, because I had him a lot on podcasts a lot, and I promote his books as well. So it's like a two-way sword, like you mentioned when we were talking to me earlier on my podcast. Mm-hmm. If you can't help someone, it's just well, because podcasting is still the punk rock of radio. You can still get away with a lot more podcasting than you probably could on a radio station.
True. So everything that you did, writing, podcasting, being a cartoonist, a YouTuber, how did it, change after your experience? After your life-changing experience?
I think it just made me think to myself, keep having a go. If like you say, don't worry about numbers. If somebody watches it, somebody likes it, fine, it's just me. I mean, if it's my own stuff, I don't care if I've not got 20,000 followers, because sometimes you can't always go by that, because I know certain sites sell followers. I'm not going to mention those sites because I wouldn't go to them. But there are certain sites you can buy like so many followers. But I don't agree with that, because my opinion is I built my reputation up the hard way, because I was on Podbean as another podcast, and that got over to 30,000 downloads. And I was on Anchor FM, which is still available on Spotify, that podcast. And I got up to, I think, 60,000 downloads.
Wow.
And currently now on my Red Circle podcast, which allows me basically to promote myself and do what I want. Although technically they own the material, like most podcast services do, I am allowed to do quite a lot. So I've got over to 5,000 in about 2 years from doing that one, which isn't bad. As I say, I quite like the fact. As you say, I'm a small fry in a very big world. There's lots of podcasts you can choose from now. There's 24. And I think to myself, well, I'm quite glad somebody listened to me. I think the most weirdest country I found out I was listening to was Nigeria. I thought, I've never been to Nigeria. It's like the other side of the world to me.
Yeah, funny things happen. Unexpected things happen. All you need to, keep doing. That's what I keep telling people. Keep doing it. So, Mark, if I talk about writing, which is the most difficult part of your writing process?
Getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning when you got an idea. And your wife would go, "What are you doing up?" "I'm writing, darling." "Get to bed." "Oh, well, I've got this idea. I've got to write it." "Oh, for God's sake." I don't try to do that so often nowadays, but when you get the inspiration to write, it's not an automatic process. You can't go, right, today is Friday, I'm going to write something. Because you go, I'm going to write now.
I wish I could get you on speakerphone and make my wife listen to this part. She goes through the same thing with me as well. I get an idea at about 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock at night, and I try and get up and somewhere note it down so that I don't forget it. So that happens a lot. And that happens.
As I call it, GBH of the A-roll.
I think that's the crazy part about being a storyteller and an author. It's not a scientific process. It's not as if there is a time zone during the day when you get ideas, and the other part of the day you do not get ideas. Ideas can happen anytime. When you're sleeping, when you're dreaming, you are getting ideas. And sort of, I have a really bad memory, since childhood I've got a bad memory, so I tend to forget a lot of things. So I have to note everything down, and if that is happening at night, I wake her up along with me. So I somehow feel sorry for her.
But you can tell your wife, for me, to say, I got the same problem and I got the same kind of wife. They'll tell me off in no uncertain terms to not be doing this.
No, that's the crazy part about being an author. But she supports me. And initially it was irritating, but now it's getting better, I hope. But yeah, that's the crazy part about being an author. Okay, so what is your favorite part about publishing, and what is your least favorite part about publishing?
I think the favourite part of publishing is obviously, even if it's only in the ebook, it's just seeing it there on Amazon. The fact that your name's there, somebody can look you up, they can look at your book and go, "That's me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on there." You know, it's an achievement. It's something some people do, some people don't. But I like the fact I did it. It was hard work, but I did it. And the worst part is learning how to do it in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I found the hardest thing to do was setting up the money side of it, the payment side of it, because you've got to find all your numbers and your details from the bank, and it is so hard to find out.
True. And if you had to give, this one message to aspiring authors, podcasters, YouTubers, cartoonists, what would be that message?
I would just say the simple thing: go for it. Just have a go. You've got absolutely nothing to lose. If people criticise you, just ignore them. It's what you want to do, not what they want to do. You're trying your best, and somebody out there will listen to you. And if you need a promotion, I'm sure Jasveer would do one, and I would do one. We don't mind, because we're not going to charge you. We're not going to criticise you. We're not going to judge you. We're just going to put you out there, give you a chance to get other people to know who you are.
Share to that. We are there, Mark and I. Anybody wants to reach out, feel free to do that. And Mark, how can people reach you? Please tell us about your podcast and YouTube channel.
Well, my podcast is called Ghostman Radio Station. You can find it on Spotify, which is probably the easiest way to find it. It is on my YouTube channel, which is Mark Antony Raines, aka Ghostman. Hashtag Comedy Friendly Zombie Limited. And I am also on Red Circle Podcast, iHeart Radio, Stitcher, Radio Republic, Google Podcasts, and other services. I put all my stuff on my blog, which is Ghostman, under ghostman.blogspot.com, I think. But look it up. If you write my name, Mark Antony, Antony Raines, Raines, into a Google search, you'll probably see lots of stuff come up. You'll probably see my cartoons. You'll see my podcast. You'll see lots and lots of stuff because I am so prolific. It's probably also because I do a lot. I like to do horror, which I call horror theatre. I either do an audio version or I dress up in a mask and do it that way. I've gone back to audio because the mask bit makes you sweat a lot and it's not good for you.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure it makes you sweat a lot and makes your listeners and viewers also sweat a lot. Right. Thank you so much, guys. So that was Mark Antony Raines. I'm going to share his the link to his podcast, his YouTube channel, and his blog in the description. Feel free to get in touch with him. Feel free to get in touch with me for any promotions. We are there for you, absolutely free of cost. And also, if you have any queries to do with publishing, podcasting, feel free to get in touch with him. Of course, for me, when it comes to publishing, I can help you. Podcasting, not so much, because I'm also new to it, but I hope to keep doing it. And thank you so much for taking time out, Mark. Lovely talking to you. And till we meet next time, thank you so much, guys. Have a good day.
Don't forget what Popeye used to say, I am's where I am's.
I am's who I am's, absolutely. Thank you so much, Mark.